LaWanna Bradford here with co-founder of this amazing community. Celebrate you embracing her wellness, the amazing Queen Diamond herself, Miss Barbara Beckley.
Hey, we are live. Oh, well, LaWanna, I got to go back to you. Visionary and co-founder, LaWanna Bradford. Got to put that there because you are the one that's really, moving this together. So love it, love it, love it.
Well, I love it that it's now beyond me and it's grown to where we are impacting 11 plus nations around the world. We need to change this number because we're now at 1,400 strong. And what's so amazing is we have grown organically because people are embracing the message of celebrate you. And what this means is we believe that when women are able to celebrate themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, because it does take money, then they can be the change not only that they want to see in the world, but the change the world sees. And today, as we celebrate Women's History Month, and Barbara and I thought, let's take a little bit of a different conversational spin here, and let's talk about celebrating diversity in beauty standards. So I want to introduce you to our guests. I'm just going to bring them up all at once, and then we'll do a formal introduction. So we have Pastor Kristina. How is it going?
Hey, it is going good for me. How about you, ladies?
Doing good. Welcome, welcome. And we have none other than Woobie.
Hello, and congratulations. I remember the beginning. So I have to applaud you because you have made this way bigger than you. But the both of you girls, because of your heart, your compassion, you weren't going to give up no matter what. We are here to celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have the dynamic Shari Alyse. How's it going, Shari?
So good. Thank you so much for having me today. It is a joy to be here, and I'm really excited that you chose this conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you. We have, what I want to do is I'd like you to introduce yourselves in a very unique way. Number one, and I'll start with you, Shari. Tell us
like a kid in school getting picked first. Like, what?
Tell us how you show up and serve every single day, and why is this conversation so important to you?
Well, what a great question. So beyond the titles of what I do, I think who I am and sharing the truth of who I am every single day is how I serve, that I give permission to people to be themselves. And I share that in a way through my morning TV talk show, and I share it in my books, and I share it in my video content. And it's all really about what this mission is, which is celebrating ourselves and aligning with our best and most authentic and truthful selves. And what was the second question? The second part?
Why is this topic so important to you?
Yes, that's a good question too. This is important to me because back in around 2007, I started losing my hair. I started experiencing hair loss, and it was quite a journey to get to the point where not only could I accept it, but also get to the point where I could then share the hair loss journey and now the choosing of wearing alternative hair and being totally open and free about it. So that self-acceptance and bravery, I think for all of us, has led to a freedom and a joy. So I'm excited for this conversation.
I love that. Thank you so much. Woobie, same 2 questions.
Thank you so much. And you know, Shari, you and I share a lot of similarities when it comes to happiness and joy. And I too am like Shari. I help people give themselves permission to stand in their greater self, to realize their flaws and to be acceptant of it. And I speak on different stages and different platforms, not because, you know, when you make a difference in the world, your income will come. And that's what I do. I'm very passionate about knowing what God's purpose is for me on this earth. I'm very aware, very alert, and I help others find out why are they here so they can live in their best self. And why is this topic so important to me? Because ever since I was a little girl, I had hair that it was never in style. I had very coarse hair. To me, it was ugly. The afro, while everybody else was wearing this beautiful hair, I was always trying to figure out how come I don't fit in. And as I got older, I started to be able to, you know, form my own hair. But all of a sudden, I was realizing that I'm using my hair as part of my identity, and it is not who I am. It is not who I am. And I lived like that for a long time. And because my hair was so coarse and obnoxious to me, it took me every morning up to 2 hours a morning to make sure that it was perfect, only to walk out into the air and the humidity attack me, right? I fought for that for a long time. So for everybody out there that is fighting because that's part of who you are, I got to share with you. No, it's not. No, it's not. You know what's inside of you? I want you to go into the mirror and look in your eyes, because your soul is your purpose, and it's your freedom to unlock that of which you feel is a necessity, because it's not. And when I realized that about my hair, well, look at me now. I have saved myself 2 hours every morning.
Can't beat that, right?
But more importantly, when I look in the mirror, I truly see who I am, and I wear my crown the way I wear my crown. And I don't need anybody else to look at me and go, you know, if only it was straighter, longer, a different color.
Love that.
So I love God. I love being my spiritual being and recognizing my self-worth. And that's why we're here today, to help you live in your self-worth.
Yes.
Love it. Powerful, powerful. Pastor Kristina, same 2 questions.
On the same sentiments as the ladies, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this wonderful conversation that I believe is much needed, especially in the time and the season, the culture where we're at, where social media has people focused so much on the outward appearance. So I'm excited about this conversation tonight. But how do I show up every day? I show up rooted and grounded in the love of God. First and foremost, I know I'm a servant leader. I mean, literally. And that's just how I show up. I wear many titles. I do many things, but in every single thing, what correlates is all that matters to me is that when people encounter me, they encounter his love. That's how I show up every single day, because we show up every day in different capacities for different reasons, for different things. And we find ourselves as women, particularly, we flow into different, I don't want to say characters, but different titles. I'll put it that way. So for me, it's just showing up as a servant leader. If it's for my family, if it's to the community, if it's on the job, if it's with the client, as long as I'm rooted and grounded in love, that's all that matters to me. And that's how I want to show up. So that's the first question. Why is this topic so important to me? Well, honestly, to be honest, I'm not my hair. And I am so blessed and so thankful that I was raised that way. You may see me in a wig. You may see me in a weave. You may see me in some braids. At the end of the day, I know that I am not my hair, and being able to share with other women, other young women, just to be confident in how God created you, you know? So that's why this topic is important to me. Just being confident in who you are. So let's do this tonight, ladies.
Let's do it. Well, before we go, everyone knows who Barbara and I are, but Barbara, do you want to just share briefly why it's important to you, and I'll close the loop?
This topic is very important to me because, like LaWanna said, we've been talking about this for a while, how we've been seeing people really get in tune of, okay, I got to look this way, I got to do this part, or I got to cover this, or I got to do this, or if they see me like that, they're going to talk about me in a certain way. And like we were saying, everybody was saying, your hair is not you. Just like I tell people about their purpose. I said, everybody has a unique purpose. You have a unique way of your whole body, outer and inner. So this was something that we wanted to bring to the front because people just need to know that whatever you do here, this is you here, right here in your heart.
Love that. For me, it was important because of those of you who follow me, you know, my cancer journey. So this gray is when I went through cancer, it took the color of my hair out. Who knew? So I am a natural gray, and I've had people ask me, or silver, whatever you want to classify it. They've asked, did I color it? What did I do? And I actually chose health to get to this, because when you're diagnosed with cancer, it's like you start assessing, what am I putting in and on my body? And the type of cancer I had was lymphoma. I'm still technically in the fight, but I don't claim it. But with that, it's a blood cancer. And so it's not something you can cut out of you. They can't, you know, it just is. And so I made a deliberate and conscious decision that I was going to stay away from all chemicals, even being very conscious of the deodorants, lotions, everything that I was using. And in the more research I was doing, I was finding that so many women, whether they have fibroids or breast cancer, there's a link to some of the chemical exposures that we have. So for me, the importance of this is to help people choose health first. And when you're healthy and you're able to smile and live in your authentic self, your beauty shines through.
Beautiful.
So let's get into this conversation. I heard some interesting word choices. I heard social media influence, which has set the beauty standards. I think it's exacerbated, you know, what the standards of beauty is. It's in our face all day long. I heard courage and being brave. I'm not my hair. And, you know, loving yourself. And you all have chosen your look for a certain reason. And yesterday I was watching a video, but for individuals who do not know what it means to be the term cultural appropriation, it means individuals of another culture or ethnicity taking what is dominant in another culture or ethnic group and claiming it as their own. Why I bring this up is, and it goes back to not your hair, but our hair is in fact tied to how society will view and label us. So this video I saw was in Japan. It was quite amazing. I didn't know you could do this with hair. But this guy, he's a master technician with hair, and he literally can take the straightest of hair without perms, without chemicals, and create afros. So you have now the Asian community growing with this affinity to have afros, to have braids, to have locks. So again, it goes back to we're not our hair. And I loved what you said, Shari, you used the term an alternative, right? You take an alternative look. And through that, I think our personality may change with different looks.
Yes.
So Shari, I want to turn this over to you. I kind of use this as an interesting introduction because I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was 5 days ago, was International Wig Day. And I saw that amazing video that you did.
Yes.
So can we talk about like your choice of what you chose to do in your journey, and then how you're able to celebrate just this beautiful diversity of wigs that you wear for, and like you said, you've worn pink, you wore this beautiful auburn that you have now. So Tell us
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely. It's been quite a journey to the wigs. When I first started losing my hair, I honestly didn't know what to do. I went through the whole, this is my identity. I had been known for really curly, long, luscious. I don't know. No one's ever said luscious. I just said that, but just just beautiful hair. And when I started when I started seeing the hair fall out, I didn't know what to do. And so the first thing that I did was, well, one of the first things was, go and get clip-ins. And then the clip-ins started damaging the hair more. And then I was like, well, let me try, sew in extensions and do that. And anyway, it was quite a journey to get to the wigs. And it was only a journey because I was afraid that people were going to find out that I was wearing wigs. And in that finding out, that means that there was something wrong with me. And that's what I had thought. And the only one that was really judging me was myself. Is that my background? I'm like hearing, is that static on my side, or you all don't hear anything? Oh, there we go. Oh, I didn't know. I was like getting distracted by my own self. Okay, so with the wigs, it was in 2012 that I was. This is a long story, but I'm trying to shorten it. In 2012, I was waiting tables, and I was standing in the server side station talking to my manager, and all of a sudden he leans in to take something from my hair. And I didn't know actually what he was doing. And so I jumped back thinking that when he went to do that, he was going to grab my hair. And he was like, Shari, what is wrong? And I didn't honestly know what to say. And so the only thing that came out was, I thought you were going to hit me. Now, which makes absolutely no sense. My manager looked at me like I had 6 heads. And that night when I got home, I really had to face what it was that I was so afraid of. And I remember thinking, you can't keep on hiding this forever, this secret of yours, and really go through this emotional thing. So that night I decided, and this was back when blogs were the thing, written blogs, and there wasn't, I had my own blog, and I had a lot of followers at that time that followed it. And I decided I was going to share the truth and tell the truth. And I remember I wrote it. And then that night I kept wanting to delete it. And so I took a couple of Tylenol PMs just so I could like knock out and then that morning I woke up with a knot in my chest. Like, oh my God, what did you just do? Like thinking the whole world was going to change. And I woke up to over 100 emails and comments from women thanking me for giving them the permission, the same letter that you read beforehand, the permission to be okay with who they are. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, you just created this entire thing of all this stuff and all the people. And here you were, by you accepting yourself, you allowed others. And from that point forward, I started sharing more openly about the journey of hair loss, and then the choosing of the wigs, and then it being less about the hair loss and more about the fun and the style of it, and more about like putting on, because I could have chosen to not wear wigs, right? But for me, it's an extension of how I feel, especially my former life. I was an actress and all that. And it just feels like this fun of showing up every day and having a different personality, almost like sometimes putting on clothes, like, right? Like the jeans you choose to wear that day. That's what this is for me. And I think, and some days I don't wear the hair. I mostly do. And I'm not going to lie, like the days that I don't wear the hair because I don't do that as often, there's still that small thing that's like, there's like still a little bit of discomfort because I don't do it regularly. But then I sit with it and I go, you are not your hair, India Ree. You are not your hair. So that's the long answer to the wigs. And now I show them, like you said, on International Wig Day, hanging in my closet. They look like a bunch of people every time I walk in. It looks like people are hanging from the rod. My fiance is always like, do we have to have them hanging? So yeah, that was fun to share that.
And I think that's so important, again, that we share our stories, because you never know who you may touch. And like you said, you've created this fun sense of style. It's no different than wearing jewelry, your change of clothes. It becomes an extension of you, your personality, your alter egos may surface. And I know for me, and I've talked to Barbara, I'm like, I'd love to try wigs just because, it's the in thing. Well, it's always been in for years, but the only time I've worn them, Shari, is Halloween.
But didn't make you, weren't they fun? Like they were so fun. I've inspired so many women who don't even have hair loss just to get wigs because they're like, and they, you know, they look good. So yes, Halloween is fun. I'm like, go for it, do it. And it cuts down, like you said, on 2 hours of hair time. Like I never have to worry about styling it. Like it's like the last minute thing, and it used to take me forever. So it's definitely a plus.
I like that part.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like when you said, Lyn-Dee, how you spend all this time with your hair and then you go outside to the elements. And I've thought about that because I'm doing a lot more public speaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to you know, and man, if I had a couple wigs to throw in my bag, but I haven't taken that step yet. So maybe you guys will inspire me.
And people, you notice it more than other people do, by the way. I always would think like people were staring and they knew. And then when I would actually tell people, they're like, I never even knew you wore a wig. And again, it was like that confirmation of like, first of all, more people are thinking about themselves than they are about us and what we're worried about. And the freedom when we can just express and tell our truth. Truth telling is healing for everybody involved.
That's true. Pastor, I'm going to totally blank. Pastor Kristina, I'd like you to share, because when you were giving your intro, you know, you said you can see me, you know, you can see me with my head shaved, you can see me with braids, you can see me with weaves, with your natural hair. Number one, have you always had that level of confidence with your style? How did that come about?
My family. Honestly, I grew up, and I'm so thankful for it. I grew up surrounded by women who were confident, who were beautiful, who are, not were and are beautiful, who instilled in me that my beauty was from the innermost to the outermost. Every single one of the women in my family, my grandmother, my aunties, extended family, all females, they wasn't concerned about how we looked. You know, they would say, you're a very, very beautiful little girl. You're very pretty. What they were concerned about was what my heart was like. Because what I always heard was, you can be so beautiful, but have the stinkiest attitude and be the ugliest person in the room because of what comes out of your mouth. And for me, when it came to hair, I come from a powerful, wonderful, strong group of women. They wear wigs. They wore their afros. They wore their cornrows. They wore color in their hair. And the thing was, for me, was my grandmother didn't allow me to cut my hair until I was 16. I couldn't get color in my hair until I was 18. And that was the rule for my grandmother and my aunties. I couldn't put hair pieces in until I was 18, even though I was a classically trained dancer. I went to the Youth Performing Arts School. On stage, we were in different characters, different hairstyles. But in reality, my aunties and my grandmother kept me grounded. They were more concerned about my heart. But when I turned 18, and I got that first haircut, oh my gosh, you couldn't tell me anything. When I got that first color, wigs, I could not wait to wear wigs. And it was just that I always knew that I was not defined on my outward appearance or my hair. So when I say that, honestly, that my confidence has always been high, I've never focused on outward appearance. My husband, he says, I have, how does he say it? I always say, honey, what is your favorite hairstyle on me? He said, baby, I like the wigs. I like it short. I like it buzz, whatever. He said, because at the end of the day, I still get the same woman. You still have the same heart. You still show up the same way. My children, when they were younger, I preach and from the pulpit. And one Sunday, my son realized that I didn't put my wig on, and I did it on purpose. He said, Mom, he was about 8 years old. He said, Mom, but your hair was long yesterday, and they all think that your hair is like that. And what I did and instilled to my son, when he saw mommy show up the next Sunday with her hair short, and I think at that time, was it bald headed? Had I buzzed it? Because one minute I may buzz it, the next minute I may grow it out. Just however. What I instilled to them is, when you're looking for your wife or you're looking at the beauty of a woman, it's not their outward beauty, it's what's on the inside. So for me, that's what wigs are and how I came to my hair like this. And you know what? Actually, when I cut my hair this short, I was in my 20s, my early 20s, and my grandmother freaked out. She was like, oh my gosh. And for the first time, I heard her say, my hair was my crown and glory. But then I came back and said to her, I said, but you always taught me that I am not my hair. And that was way before the NDIRE song, So in that exchange of generations, when it came to hair in my family, it was like a, from my grandmother. Because literally, I kid you not, it was like a year later, she cut all her hair off and went short in that. So, yeah. And that was, oh my gracious, that was 30 some odd years ago.
I love that. Love that story. And you're right. You were blessed to have your self-esteem built up that way. And many of us heard, it's like, don't cut your hair. Men only like long hair. And so when you're hearing this as a child, and then everything that you see in magazines is reflective of that, then it is a struggle when something happens traumatically, like in Shari's case, in my case. I'm going to turn this over to Lyn-Dee. I was going to put it up on video, Barbara, but I didn't. So when I was going through my therapy, most people, it just thins all over. No, God has a sense of humor. LaWanna literally lost her hair right in the center of my head. I look like Benjamin Franklin.
No.
I am serious. It was just a big old round spot. And I thought, OMG. And I remember going to the dermatologist and they said, LaWanna, I don't think it's going to grow back. And I thought, really? I'm just going to have this row of hair and then nothing up top. But fortunately it did. But I went to a naturopath and someone who was telling me just things to do. So it was interesting. Sometimes the medical profession will cause you to lose hope. But I was, thinking, well, LaWanna, if it doesn't grow back, be confident, buzz it, rock it, or, well, I couldn't even buzz it. I'd have to shave it off because it was literally nice and shiny up top, or do the wigs. But that was just my funny Benjamin Franklin moment.
LaWanna, what you just said was, it reminded me of something. At the age of 18, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. A year later, I had my first radioactive iodine treatment. And Graves' disease has to do with your thyroid, has to do with your hormones. I started to lose my hair. That's why I cut my hair short the first time, because it was like little patches and little bald patches, because my hair was all the way down to here. But because of that confidence that my family had instilled with me. And I think that's important, why it's important for us to have this conversation. If we can instill in our young girls, if we can have the conversation that your self-confidence comes within, from the innermost to the outermost, that when life begins to life and stuff hits you, you don't get knocked down if it causes a difference in your outer appearance. So when I first cut my hair, because of me being sick, because my hair was coming out, it didn't shake me because my outward appearance had changed, because my attitude and who I was on the inside was so strong. It also helped me forge forward in the disease of Graves' disease. And I'm now 49 years old. And if I go through thyroid storms or whatever may happen, it does affect my hair. But because I know I'm not my hair, it makes me even stronger within those storms when I'm fighting the battle of what's going on with my health.
Thank you for sharing. We're going to take a quick break and then come back for Lyn-Dee, one of the most confident and bold women that I know. Stand by. Okay, Lyn-Dee.
Hi. I have gotten so much out of each and every one of you. what you're pouring into me is just a blessing. So first of all, thank you. And Pastor Christine, I love your family. Will they adopt me?
Come on, we love everybody. Come on, come on.
Oh my God. And I could feel all of the positivity and the love and the joy that comes from you and everybody that is internal with you. So, wow, thanks for pouring some of that love into me, because I sure did love it. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I came from a mother, and that's a whole different story, but she wasn't your family. That's for sure. Right, ladies? Hurricane Francis. No. But back on track. So what made me really decide to go ahead and buzz my hair this short? It's because I'm a breast cancer survivor. And with that being said, God bless me, I did not have to go through chemo because I caught it at the very, very beginning. I did go through radiation. And at that time, my hair was colored and it was long, and I was spending 2 hours a day on it. But I did love my hair as well. So, as much as I didn't like it, I loved it at the same time. I knew that because when your roots start coming out and you're starting to see the white, you just don't know how much of the white is it, is it the nice white? Is it the funky white? I mean, what kind of white is this? So I looked up at God and I said, there's going to come a day when you're going to give me a purpose. And that is the day that I will go ahead and find out how white I am, or whatever color it is that's underneath all of this. And I'm blessed to be able to share my story, not only in my book, but also on stages. And I was invited. I live in South Carolina now, and I was invited to Pennsylvania. They asked me to be the speaker for the nonprofit Real Men Wear Pink breast cancer awareness event. And would I come up to Pennsylvania? Well, I didn't hesitate, of course. Absolutely. If I can make a difference anywhere, everywhere, I'm there. And as long as my agenda allows it, absolutely. And it did. So we started talking, and I said, Real Men Wear Pink. And I said, what's that all about? They said, well, Real Men Wear Pink to support breast cancer awareness. And I said, I like it. And I said, and what do you do? And they said, and we raise money for it. And I said, I like it. And I said, and what is the agenda for your event? And they told me, and I said, I like that too. I said, I'm in. I said, and I want to go one step further. And it was God saying, now's the time.
I remember that event.
Now's the time. I'm going to cry. I heard it. I felt it. And it was 2 months prior to the event. My hair grows very fast. It just so happened that the roots were showing as I was speaking with this gentleman. And I was going to color my hair the following day after that conversation. So, and I'm very aware and in tune with when God is sharing what he has to share with me. So I said, oh my goodness. And I said, I have something else that we need to add in. I said, I want you to start raising money and let them know that the speaker who's coming up is not only the breast cancer survivor, but the author of Squeeze My Tatas, You're Only One Mammogram Away from Knowing. She's a TV radio personality. I wanted them to know that somebody, not because I needed the titles by no means, but to let them know that a woman is coming forward to share who shares. And I said, you let them know that I'm going to be buzzing my hair after my talk. And I don't know what we're going to find underneath. And that was it. It came and it happened. And I got used to it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. However, okay, talk about scary, right? So I go ahead and I buzz it. And I'm okay with it, I'm okay with it. And of course it needed to be shaped up and whatever.
Lyn-Dee, let me let the listening audience know. She buzzed this publicly.
I buzzed it publicly. Yes, it is. It is on YouTube. Yeah, it is on YouTube as well. So, because I'm not out to say this is me, I'm out to help people have permission to stand in their own. And so with that being said, we go home, we go back to my friend's house, and I go and I take a shower, get all this loose hair off of my body, and we all go to sleep. And I feel okay, very good. And I wake up the next morning and I go into the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I screamed. I forgot that I did it. And I saw my father. I saw my father. And if I had a picture of him, you'd be like, oh, and I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden my friend, she runs into the bathroom. She goes, oh my God. She says, are you okay? And I start laughing. I was laughing so hard, I peed my pants. And that's a true story. I peed my panties because I started laughing so hard at me and at that image. And I said, it's me, that's me. And I just started laughing. So I share that with you because we can't take life too seriously, but we could accept emotions as we're going through it. Yeah. So that was the beginning. That's been 4 years ago that I went ahead and I buzzed my hair, and I love it. And one of my background professions is I am a cosmetologist. I owned a hair salon spa in Lauderdale, Florida. So I remember helping a lot of clients of mine going through different things that they were going through, because as a hairstylist, you're a psychiatrist behind the chair. We learn and find out everything, and even stuff we shouldn't probably know. But I had to help people of all different reasons sometimes transition into their authentic being. And I do it to this day. It's one of my purposes. So when God says it's time, it's okay. When you give yourself permission to say it's time, it's okay. Because those that love you will love you no matter what. And those that don't matter anyway, right? So, and I want to pass it back to you, but with saying, it's funny because my hair is short and I am a single woman looking for my next gentleman, but I won't settle either. I was told that if I let my hair grow, I would probably find a man easier. And I said, then I wouldn't find the right man, would I?
That's right.
So with that being said, if anybody knows some really nice gentlemen, but thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. I feel like going out to buy wigs, honestly. It's fun, right?
Fun.
And all I can think about is, yeah, but then people, what if they say, oh, you should wear that all the time? I'm good. But I probably will go and get some wigs, to be honest with you. But thank you so much, everybody, for pouring into me tonight. You made a big impact in me, for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you just poured into us.
Yes. Yes.
That's what we do, ladies. That's what we do.
Yes.
If I can show these two videos, one of Yaminah Childress, the other of Wendy Watkins. Yaminah is she was an attorney by her profession, but now she has opened a beauty line, a beauty supply store. She is an advocate for women of color embracing who they are. Wendy Watkins is known as joy. It's the joy factor. And she has her whole message is about living your delicious life. So I'd like you to listen to what these two women have to say.
I'm Yaminah Childress, the co-founder of Yanni Beauty. And thank you, LaWanna and Barbara, for having me here today. I'm really excited about this topic and about hair journeys and the beauty standards around hair. So a little bit about my natural journey, my hair journey is I actually started to go natural. Oh, wow. It's been 15 years probably or more. And it was definitely before it became a trend. But I say that I didn't have locks that long. I just went natural. And I did that, but the truth of the matter is I still wore my hair straight. So I would wear my hair straight. I had a job at the IRS. So I had like a federal job. I had to go into a workplace. And so my hair was straight. Then it wasn't really an open thing that people just wore their fros and their natural hair. And so that's how it went. But I did do it for the purpose of at some point getting my hair locked. But so fast forward to 2020, I decided to go through the lock process and lock my hair. And it's funny, really, that having hair that's like natural hair, natural styles, like locks or braids, afros, a lot of times the way your hair grows out of your head is still very much so policed. I don't work in a corporate office. I don't work for anyone. So I would say I definitely have the luxury to kind of embrace my natural hair. And I also, because I am a beauty brand founder and we're all about self-expression, this is just one of the ways that I express myself, and I feel like very much myself with this hair. But that is to say that people still kind of look at me like, oh, she has locks, right? But, you know, my advice is, and this is to anyone, no matter if you work for yourself, if you work for a corporation, to make sure that you are being true to you, right? People at jobs, it's a job, and I understand that we need to work, but you also need to be true to yourself. Whatever your journey is, no matter how your hair is, it doesn't take away from how talented you are, how beautiful you are, how educated you are. It is just one part of how you show up. And I always want people to show up as their authentic selves. And so that is my piece of advice. Show up as your authentic self. Embrace who you are. I love my locks. And I just hope that this continues to be a journey that people take, especially Black women, because we have such diverse hairstyles, and we should be able to wear it however it grows out and however it kinks and curls and twists. So definitely embrace your hair and enjoy the journey, because I know I have. I am 4 years in and I'm loving every minute of it. Thanks again for having me, and hopefully see you next time.
I'm going to bring up one more, and then I'll let Barbara sort of moderate what the three of you heard. Give me 1 second here. And this is Wendy Watkins. Here we go.
One of the many gifts that the COVID pandemic provided to me was the ability to stop coloring my hair. I had been coloring my hair since I was probably in my late teens, because I hung out with a lot of hairdressers and I love to have fun and express myself through my hair. But then when the time came, which I thought would be later in life, to grow out the silver, but the pandemic provided that opportunity for it to happen faster, I embraced it. And I was so excited about the opportunity not to be, how do I want to say, held captive by having to color my hair every 6 weeks. So the growing out came easy, partnered with my hairdresser, Jessica, who helped me through the process, because it is a process. But now that all of the hair color is gone, I am loving the way that I look and feel. Now, I do add some purple and some fairy hair you may be able to see in here, because I do love to add sparkle to my days, and I do love to be cute and adorable. But what I also know is that I love the freedom that I have of just being me. And I really think that Divine Joy Randolph, who was in the Holdovers and she won her first Academy Award, she said it beautifully, really expressed how I felt. She said, I wanted to be different. Now I realize I just self. And I think that that is still true for me. And so being different and being myself all fits into my identity with natural silver hair. So if you are struggling with stepping into your authentic self, then remember that it is all about being you, and it's all about being yourself. And a wise teacher once told me, because I very much am concerned about what other people think, way more in the past, but it's still here in the present. And she said to me, Wendy, it's none of your business what other people think. So if that's you and you're wanting to do something freeing and liberating for yourself, remember those words. It's none of your business what other people think. You be you.
Thank you, Yaminah and Wendy, for sharing your words of wisdom and advice to those that are listening. I'm going to turn it over to Barbara. We've got about 5 minutes, and then we'll be closing out. So, Barbara, you want to moderate this last piece?
I really just wanted to state the two things that I got from Yaminah and then Wendy, and want to really see what the panel says about it. Is the biggest thing is, just being authentic. We talked a little bit about that. And then corporate versus your own business, and how I love how Yaminah brought it out. Like she said, you know what? I got my own business, so I can just do what I want to do. And I love that compared to corporate, which sometimes that, moves you in a different direction sometimes. And then Wendy, how she just said, be yourself. She loved, and the pandemic changed a whole lot for a lot of women. I have to say at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I can't go to the beauty shop. And for a year, 2 years, really? So I had to even be creative, very creative at that. So I just want to just ask the panel, and anybody wants to chime in regarding this a little bit, because of the time, about corporate versus your own business and being who you are in both aspects. Trying to be who you are in both aspects, because corporate is a little different, but you still want to be you. So anybody want to take that for a second?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that. So when you're working for corporate America and for a company that has its policies and procedures, you're in it, and you got to accept it. And unless you don't like it and you want to leave, you're in it, right? You volunteered, you signed the commitment, and that's just the way it is. However, when you decide, if you decide, not everybody wants to be in business for themselves or go out in business for yourself, but that really does give you a different lifestyle. It's just a different kind of a freedom. You just have to accept that what you've accepted is what you've accepted, and you can't change that because you need to have an income. So your job is everything. However, it doesn't mean that you can't wear different styles. It doesn't mean that you can't do different things. It doesn't mean you can't be creative, right? So don't be afraid to be the creative you that you always want to be. Just know where that fine line is, because that's how I like to live my life, right on that fine line of where, this one extra braid just may be on that fine line, but I'm going to try it. And the worst thing they could say is this is not acceptable, and then I know. But that's, life is way too short to allow other people to dictate how you should live your life, how you should be in your life. However, when it goes to corporate America or working for somebody else, there's a contract that was signed between you and them, and you do have to stick with that so you don't jeopardize anything else. But you can still have fun. Still do things, be you, right?
Love that. Being creative beside of the ruling that they have. It's like, oh, okay, I can fix this in there. Because one time I asked my manager, because I had a ponytail one time and slicked back. Then I came in with and she's like, Wait a minute. I said, is it in the rules? Am I violating anything? Well, technically. So I said, ooh, I got through. So I liked how you said that. Anybody else want to
ask for forgiveness? Then there is permission.
Yes, that's
Just saying. Just saying.
So I walked in there proud. I was like, "Ooh, I did this." So anybody wants to comment on the authentic part of it? Because I like how Wendy said about the quote, and when she was talking about, she want to be different, but being herself as being different. So anybody want to comment on that part of it?
I think it's pretty much the same as we've all just been sharing, that there is a freedom in fully being yourself. And I think that it's a journey to get there, to what she even said about, what people think of you is none of your business, unless you're raised in Pastor Christine's house, but I mean, in the most beautiful way, like that. I think a lot of us grow up carrying, because we're taught certain ways, of being, and then with social media, as we talked about, that just being like, this is the standard of beauty and all of this that, is in our face. And so I think getting to that point where you realize that you feel your best self and you feel the most joy when you feel like yourself. Up to that point, everything feels slightly off. You're kind of out of alignment. And it's not until you nudge yourself back into your place and in your center. And that's by fully being yourself, do you go, oh, this is what life's about. Here's the joy. Here's where I feel the most alive.
I love that. I love that. And just want to say this one other thing. Like you said, is you be you. Just you be you. If you feel comfortable in a wig, you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable with the buzz cut, you feel good. But either way, you have to feel good to yourself even before you start looking at what other people say. And like she said, it doesn't really matter. I love how she said that. So I wanted to see, LaWanna, did you want to take anything else before we close down?
Yeah, I would like to ask the question this way, and I know Dr. Kristina, I'm calling you Dr. Pastor Kristina, sorry. Maybe you're going to be a doctor too.
I received that. When you said that, I actually said I received that because you all up in my business, because that's something we talked about, my husband and I. So I received that, LaWanna. Yes.
Okay. What would you say? Most people say, what would you say to your younger self, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to switch that based upon where you are right now in life. And we know that as we age, there may be other things that we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Based upon all three of you, your place of strength and confidence, what love message would you tell your future self, that woman who is looking at you now 20 or 30 years from now? I'll start with you, Shari.
So my future self, 20 30 years from now.
Yes. Future self. What do you want her to remember? Maybe that's the best thing. What do you want her to remember?
No, there's so many things, but I'm like narrowing it down. But what came to mind was just keep switching up the colors and the hairstyles. Just keep it up, have some fun, and just keep encouraging everybody else to keep having fun in their lives. Mm-hmm. We got this limited time, and live it up.
I love that. That's beautiful. Woobie.
I'm thinking in 30 years, I'm going to be 90 years old. Am I going to really care? I don't know what I'm going to say at 90, because you know what? You never have to ask for permission when you're 90. Could be funny. I hope I'm leaving behind the legacy to live, laugh, and love. Yourself first, and then everybody else will follow. Other than that, I don't really think I'm going to care very much at the age of 90. I could drop on that one, yeah.
Pastor Kristina, what would you say to your future self?
What I would tell my future self is what I'm actually saying to myself, because I'm on the cusp of turning 50. So what I would tell my future self, I will remind myself 30 years from now when I'm going to turn 80. I'm just standing on Psalms 139 right now. 14. And I'm reminding myself, yes, I came from a very confident family, but even as I'm going through menopause and my body is changing and life tries to life and tries to mess with your attitude and your mind frame of who you are. I've just been rooted in saying to myself, I praise you, God, because I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and great are your works. And I remind myself, and I'm going to remind myself of my future self, that I am a masterpiece created by the Creator. So I'm just going to embrace whatever season I'm in 30 years from now and remember that.
That's beautiful.
Hmm.
Barbara.
I'm about to turn 52, by the way. I'm going to say, yay. Okay.
Well, in May, I'm going to be 60.
Woo! New decades for us.
Yes, yes. Barbara, before we close, what would you like to say to your future self?
I just want to say, just still live every minute, every second of every day, because you never know when that's going to end. And I'm just going to be perfectly blank. I mean, I turned 56 today, and a lot of people were like, so what did you do? And how do you feel? And do you feel this way? I said, you know what? I'm glad that my eyes popped open.
Yes.
And I was able to see the text for you telling me happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say, whatever age you're getting into, it doesn't even matter all this. As long as you're alive and you're able to still do that impact in somebody else's life.
Amen.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday,
Birthday.
Well, I want to thank all of you for joining. And what I would say to my future self is I want to remember this moment. Because there's times when, as people get older, right, and you see your friends and loved ones slipping away, all you have left are those memories at times. So I want to celebrate and be able to celebrate the beauty of this moment and the transparency of sharing and the sisterhood that is emanating. Even though we're not physically together, I believe spiritually there's a connection.
Yeah.
And lives are going to be changed because of this.
Yes.
And happy birthday, Barbara.
Happy birthday, Barbara.
Happy birthday, Barbara, Queen.
Hey.
Thank you, Barbara, you want to close us out? Our signature close?
Okay. So our signature close, some people knew we always put the heart up, and we always say, love yourself.
Love yourself.
Oh, look at the hearts coming out of us. Love yourself.
That's awesome.
Oh, I like that.
I'm like,
How did you get that?
I was like, why can't I do that? I want to do that. Embrace yourself.
Embrace yourself.
yourself.
And whatever you do, celebrate you.
Celebrate you. We will see you next month. Thank you, ladies. I gotta love them.
Are you ready to defy gravity and challenge the impossible? Meet LaWanna Bradford, the visionary leader behind Choose to Challenge on E360 TV. Now in its 5th season, this groundbreaking show shines a spotlight on voices of change from across the globe. Born during the pandemic, Choose to Challenge becomes a platform for transformation where no topic is off limits. Every episode highlights individuals breaking barriers, rewriting narratives, and making an impact. Ready to share your story and inspire change? Call 404-618-2824 to become a guest. This is your moment to rise. Tune in now at e360tv.com. Your voice matters. Let's change the world together.